Okay guys, today we're getting ready for soup season. We are going to make a gallon batch of shelf-stable, ready mixed dumpling mix. So we're gonna start with 10.5 cups of flour. And I've tried to do this and talk at the same time. And I've had to dump it back in the bucket twice now. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll get 10.5 cups of flour in here, and then I will get right back to you. Okay, there's 10, and there's our half. Now, Jessica Milnes from Modern Homestead, Alaska, and I are doing a souping with friends. I guess you could call it a challenge or event, but really, we just thought it would be really fun if everybody shared their soup recipes. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this, getting this premix made for dumplings so that I have it ready for soup season. So for the month of November, we're going to make our favorite soups and do videos about it. And share it with all of you and share it with one another. If you make videos, make us a soup video, put the hashtag in it, souping with friends. If you don't make videos, but you have Instagram or Facebook, you can post your pictures of your favorite soup and your soup recipes, and just use the hashtag, and then we can all find each other. And so we thought it would be kind of a lovely friend group. So moving on. Okay. So we need a 1/4 cup plus 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now this is a 1/2 cup thing, but that's just, I'm going to fill it up halfway and then it'll be a 1/4. Okay. So there's my 1/4 cup. Now I need to find my measuring spoons. Here they are. All right, and then 2 teaspoons. And I will leave the recipe for you below, of course. Okay, now we're gonna need 5 teaspoons of salt. 3, 4, 5. This is just Redmond's livestock salt that I grind up in my coffee grinder that's designated for spices. And we just use it as our regular table salt. I get giant bags of it from Azure Standard for like $20 a bag. So I'll leave a link for Azure Standard below if you're interested in checking that out. If you use the link and place a $100 order, I think within 60 days or 90 days or something like that, then I get a kickback for it. Okay, so now for the important part, and this will vary depend on where you live and what the relative temperature is of your house. We need 1.5 cups of solid shortening. That's shelf stable already. Like I wouldn't use butter, but I might use, like I'm gonna use coconut oil, I might use tallow, I might use Crisco, anything that's already shelf stable and solid at room temperature. Now this coconut oil, by the time it gets about 75 degrees or so, it's gonna start melting, and I don't want anything to melt in my premix. That's gonna be a bad day. So if you live where it's super warm, or maybe you're making this during summertime, you might want to consider a different solid shortening or solid oil, or store it where it's a little colder. Like as long as it's below 70 degrees, you're fine. Now it's wintertime here in Alaska. It was 11 degrees this morning. So in the wintertime, our house is somewhere between 50 and 65 degrees throughout the day. So my coconut oil is never gonna melt. So that's fine. But we need 1.5 cups of it in here. All right, there's our cup. And now we'll work on our half here if I don't drop the measuring cup first, right? Now this coconut oil I also buy in bulk from Azure Standard because it's organic coconut oil, and here in Alaska it's really difficult to get things that are specialty things, I guess you might say. I don't know, probably for you organic coconut oil isn't a specialty item. But it's difficult to get it here in a price that's affordable. So even paying for the shipping on this, it was way cheaper for me to get it at Azure Standard. Okay, so that was all that goes in there. 4 things. You need salt, shortening, flour, baking powder. I'm just going to use my little pastry cutter here, and I'm going to cut this shortening up just so that it's just combined a little bit. You just want it chopped up in little pieces so that when you make the dumplings, the shortening is kind of dispersed throughout. Nothing fancy, we're just chopping until there's no more big chunks in there. See those chunks? We want to get those all chopped in little tiny bits in there. Now in just a minute, I'll show you how to use this recipe and how to make dumplings. It's pretty simple. Mr. Reeves is going to be home soon for lunch, so we'll get the opportunity to let him taste test as always. Okay, so we got our mix all mixed, right? We got all of our little shortening pieces chopped up in here. Okay, now we're just gonna put it in a jar. And try not to make a big mess. Now the shelf stability of this mix is solely dependent on the ingredients. Like flour's good for a while, baking soda's good for a while. You don't have to worry about that. Salt's good forever. So whatever the shelf life of the shortening that you put in there will be the shelf life of this mix. Now this is surely enough for us to use before this coconut oil and it goes bad. Because it's winter time, it's soup season, and it's Souping with Friends month. So, as you can tell, I'm very excited about that. Okay, we got a little dash left in here. See how oh Lord. There we go. Just a little mess, that's okay. It'll wash. Okay, so now, let me bring you over so you can see the soup. Okay, this is just some leftover soup from I think 2 days ago. Just some dump soup that I made from things I canned. Let's get the stove on here, beep beep boop, and then back to the dumplings. Okay, now to make the dumplings, super simple. You're gonna take 2 cups of your mix, put in a bowl or whatever. Okay, 3/4 of a cup of milk. Okay, now this is some goat's milk that I can, but you can use any kind of milk. Doesn't really matter. It's just something liquid. You really, in a pinch, could use water. If you wanted a version where you never had to make sure you had milk on hand, you could add like dried milk powder into your original recipe when you made the batch, and then all you'd have to do is add the water. Or for a long time, we did no dairy before we had goats. And so I used non-dairy coffee creamer as the milk supplement or the milk substitute for everything. And so I would have added non-dairy coffee creamer to this, and then I would just have to add water whenever I want. It would be really simple. So we need 3/4 of a cup of milk. And we stir it up. And that's kind of your basic dumpling. Now I like to add things to it because it's fun. If you wanted to do like Red Lobster has a Cheddar Bay biscuit, right? That's like everybody's favorite thing. I mean, you could add in here garlic powder and little chunks of butter if you wanted, and cheddar cheese. I usually add sharp shredded cheddar all the time to it. Okay. All right, now this needs just a touch more. You want it to be a pretty combined. So I'm going to add maybe a tablespoon or 2 more of milk and see how that goes. All right, that's looking much better. Okay, so you want to have the consistency almost like a little bit soggy cookie dough. If you had the issue like I did where I didn't add enough liquid at the beginning, or I put too much mix in my scoops when I put it in and measured it, you just add a little bit more, just like you do for anything else you cook, right? Okay, so for Mr. Reeves' lunch today, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic, granulated garlic. I don't know, maybe a teaspoon and well, probably just a teaspoon. Okay. And rosemary, because that's beef stew, and why not? Because that sounds delicious, right? And I'm going to stick my hands in my bag because, well, it's my bag. So I don't have to worry about that. And so we're going to put probably 1.5 tablespoons of rosemary because it makes it yummy. Okay. And you can mix it with a spoon if you want, but I'm just going to mix it with my hands. And our soup is heating up on the stove, so that's good. So, I mean, think of other variations you can mix with the dumplings. What other things could you add in there that were cool, you know? Makes it a little bit more depth to the meal, you know? I might add rosemary for chicken and dumplings, or if I was going to do even just a different beef stew, I would maybe add dehydrated onions in it. That would be delicious. So delicious. I'd add Parmesan cheese. We really like cheese, so any cheese you want to add in there, I'm up for that for sure. All right, so we're pretty well mixed in now. Okay, I guess if I had to say, this was maybe about the consistency of drop biscuits, maybe a little bit thicker. Okay. All right. Now, check on our soup. And when it simmers, I'll meet you back. Okay, our soup is just starting to simmer. Okay, now the simmering soup is what's going to cook the dumplings, right? So I'm going to break this probably into 6 little pieces here. So I'll just break it in half and then in thirds. Maybe we'll make little dumplings today instead of big ones. For dinner time, I usually will make big ones. I'll split this into like 4 pieces or 3 pieces if Mr. Reeve's really hungry, and he'll get 2 and I'll get 1. Then you just drop it in there. Now you want to put dumplings in a soup that isn't super thick. Like I wouldn't put dumplings in like a baked potato soup, because you have to keep the heat up pretty decently high to keep it simmering, and you wouldn't want your potato soup to burn on the bottom. So it needs to have enough liquid in it. So, you know, like a medium thick beef stew is totally fine, but not much thicker than that. We just drop them in there, get our spoon out of the way. Okay, and then we will make sure this is still simmering, which it looks like it is. And then we're gonna let it simmer with the lid on for 10 minutes. Then I'll meet you back. Okay, it's been our first 10 minutes. Look at that. Look how big those guys got. Hold on, I'll bring close. Isn't that great? Okay, at this point, you could take a rubber spatula if you wanted and gently scrape along the bottom of the pan without disturbing or disrupting the dumplings too much, because they're still cooking. And you can kind of just scrape that stuff off the bottom if you need to, or if you're worried about it. This is my big burner on my stove, so it heated up pretty quickly. It's on low now because it was boiling. And normally I would do this on the wood stove, especially in wintertime, because the wood stove's going all the time. But Mr. Reeve is remodeling and doing some stuff over there by the wood stove, so that my Souping with Friends videos is much prettier, which I'm really happy about. And this stuff needs to get done over there anyways. But at this point, you're gonna leave the lid off, and it's gonna cook for 10 more minutes simmering, and then I'll meet you back. Okay, now all we have to do is dish it out, let it cool a little bit for Mr. Reeve. I did want to tell you there's a giveaway in this video. This is a custom Alaska soup koozie, so that you can put your bowl in there and eat your soup or your chili or whatever without your hands being super hot. So if you engage in this Souping with Friends challenge by leaving a comment in this video below about what your favorite soup is, or a soup that you might like to watch me make, I guess. I don't know. I kind of have ideas of what I'm going to make, but you sure can make suggestions. Then I'll enter you in the drawing for this super awesome soup koozie. Super awesome. Ha! S-O-U-P-E-R. Super awesome soup koozie. And then at the end of November, the last day of November, when the soup challenge is over, then I will put all your names in a hat and pull a name, and I'll send you a really cool soup koozie. But for now, let's get this in the bowl and cooling for Mr. Reeve. So I usually try to just like scoot one of the dumplings aside, get some nice yummy soup in there, and then put the dumpling on top. That way it looks pretty and it doesn't look like my dumpling has just taken a soup bath. So we'll find a nice beautiful one. There we go. And then in a minute we'll call Mr. Reeve in for lunch and we'll see what he thinks of it. You ready for your soup?
Yeah.
Yeah. We got dumplings in there.
Ooh.
Yeah. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna give away a soup koozie.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. They can keep your soup warm and keep your hands from frying when your bowl's too hot.
Yeah. We're not always the most patient people, so we tend to take our soup on the go, even if it's in a bowl. So that way you don't have to melt your fingers.
I'm patient.
He's lying. All right, keep going.
Yeah. Can I eat some of the...
Yeah, you gotta eat the dumpling. It's a dumpling video. You gotta eat the dumpling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ooh,
you don't tell me these things. You just tell me there's food. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Right. What do you think? Cooked all the way?
It's perfect.
Yay!
Yeah.
Good. And guess what?
Mhm.
There's a whole pot. So you got seconds and dinner and probably lunch for tomorrow too.
Oh, perfect. Mm.
Good. All right, you eat.
Yeah, thanks, baby.
Okay, the last thing here is I usually label mixes because they kind of all look like flour, right? I put what it is, what the date is. I put kind of how it needs to be mixed, 2 cups of mix and 3/4 cup of milk. And then I'll write on there whatever cooking instructions that I often forget. Like I always forget it's supposed to be covered or uncovered first. So that's what I write down there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to leave a comment below so that you can be involved in the Souping with Friends soup koozie giveaway. And follow us for lots of fun and exciting soups and our upcoming wood stove area remodel.
That's right.
I'm real excited about, husband. Catch you guys on the next one.
Did you put rosemary in the dumplings this time?
Yes, sir, I did.
Oh, it's so good.